Tell me about intermittent fasting. My wife picked you up from the airport. I told her that you need to eat before we do this.
I need to do my sustenance. This is my sustenance right now. Yeah.
And she said, he's doing intermittent fasting. And I said, of course he is. So come on, tell me, what is it?
So there are a couple different protocols for intermittent fasting. The most basic is a 16-8, meaning 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of feeding.
Did that for a little bit.
And then,
so I know a little bit about it.
And also I heard that you
used the app.
You did it
What's
wrong.
the app called?
Zero. Super good.
Tell me why I did it wrong.
I love it. Well, because you ate in the morning. You ate in the morning and then eat at night.
That's right.
And I'm like, no. Every day, the best thing is that, yes, I'm saying no right now, but in 2 hours I get to say yes. So like the hard thing about like religious fasting, it's okay, I'm fasting all day.
Yeah.
There's no today.
Yeah. There's
tomorrow morning I get to, and this is like, no, I'll just wait until 4 and then I'll be able to eat whatever I want, more or less, So the first protocol, 16-8, but then as I kept doing it, I kept reading more that at 16 hours is when some of the health benefits really kick in. And so I was like, well, I can extend it to an 18-6 or a 24. And it's been kind of fun. And it's fun to play with it. Also, the thing I noticed is when I was doing the reading and listening to the studies, they had said that if you fast 5 out of 7 days, it's roughly the physical or health equivalent of fasting 7 out of 7 days, which is super flexible for myself. So I have at least 2 days a week if I wanted to, that I didn't have to do it. And so I don't feel boxed in. I don't feel like I'm being limited or being, I just feel free in it. And so I have a buddy who started doing this sometime last fall. And he's like, oh, it's so great, because I kept going on all these, like, I'm going to eat paleo, or I'm going to eat only, the carnivore diet, or whatever the kind of thing is. And then I'd mess my meal prep up and not have the food. And he was like, the great thing about intermittent fasting is you don't have to do something, you just don't do something. And I was like, oh, you just don't eat. You just wait.
Yeah.
And it's been really phenomenal.
I like the intensity of it. I'm not great at moderating things.
Yeah.
But I'm good at being totally off the internet, right?
Yeah.
Or, just reading this book, I'm going to get it done in a week, or, those sorts of things. So I like the intensity of it.
Yeah, because it's just like, just don't do that until when your app says, oh, now you can.
Yeah.
And I've noticed a change. It's people always ask, like, oh, because is this like a spiritual thing?
That's what I was going to ask. Why did you start doing it?
Well, so the physical was the beginning, but also had a spiritual component, because I did Exodus 90 this last January 21st.
They're a sponsor of the show, so nice job.
Fantastic. And I'm going to say something that they're not going to like.
Okay.
So
Cut this out.
I started it 2 weeks before the starting of Exodus 90 with the idea that, okay, if this doesn't work, I'll just do the Exodus 90 fast. But if it does work, this is going to be my fast for the 90 days. And
the intermittent fasting would be your Exodus 90.
Would be the Exodus 90 fast.
Great.
And so it worked out well.
That's what you think they wouldn't like?
Yeah, because like, hey, don't mess with the stuff,
Yeah.
They've got some strict. But the thing I found is that any kind of discipline of saying, no, I get to exercise my will against my flesh, essentially.
Yep.
It has a spiritual component to it.
Yes.
Because not only does it have to do with the beginning of the day, it has to do with the end of the day. So the beginning of the day is like, just kind of fast up until whenever you get to eat. But then during the rest of the day, it also has the sense of, okay, when am I going to stop?
Yeah.
And because I get
you're cognizant of what you're putting in your body.
So good.
You're not just shoveling it in.
Yeah.
Exodus 90 was great for me in that way too, because you realize how often you turn to food for pleasure.
Or even just kind of that sense of boredom, because it's there, that everything means something. I remember coming across this quote that nothing is neutral to the soul. Okay. And so when it comes to like, well, you didn't doing this for health reasons. Well, sure. At the same time, nothing is neutral to the soul.
Yeah.
And so that sense of like, let me exercise discipline in this way that isn't strictly speaking purely spiritual.
Yeah.
But at the same time has a definite spiritual component.
It's not like just because you're doing it even primarily for physical reasons, that it therefore has no consequence in your spiritual life.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like exercise, that you can recognize, we realize that exercise, this is for my physical whatever.
Good.
Yeah. I want to be able to move. Also is, you can lift that up, you can offer that up, You can.
Yep.
I mean, that's what. I mean,
And even if you weren't intentionally offering it up, the discipline of getting up in the morning and doing something you don't want to do is a good thing. Sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Depends
no.
what you don't want to do.
I guess it does.
Yeah.
My spiritual director, who is a hermit who lives up in the North Woods of Minnesota, just the coolest
Such a
thing.
cool line you just said.
It is.
Then.
So
My spiritual director, who is a hermit up in the North Woods of Minnesota.
I have a buddy who says when he goes to visit him, he's like, it's like going to visit Gandalf.
What's his name? Don't say Barry.
No.
That would ruin the illusion.
Man, I'm blanking on
Doesn't
his
matter.
first name. Roy.
Roy? No, it can't be
Father,
Roy.
Father
Roy's
Roy.
too common.
Father Roy.
Yoda. All right, so.
But he, no, he's like, so he has this one-room cabin, log cabin, that his father or grandfather built 100+ years ago on this
Sounds
lake.
amazing.
And so you drive down this dirt road, and it's shrouded with trees coming over it, and he's standing on the porch waiting for you when you come in, and just kind of, hey, how's it going? Come on inside, and it's just the best. So he had said once, I told him that I used to do a lot of like racing and training and this kind of thing, and he was like, okay, this is good, because when it comes to the spiritual life, you know what discipline is. You know how to you need to do the thing. And I've kind of disappointed him, I think, in that. But I mean, it doesn't always directly correlate. There's that sense of like, you can bring a lot of intensity to, I want to complete an Ironman triathlon.
Yeah.
And you can also bring a lessening of intensity to, I want to be a saint.
Right, yeah. So when you say for health reasons, were you getting fat and wanted to look better, or was it you were sick and you wanted to be healthier?
Well, there's all the benefits.
Because we're getting older, right?
Yeah.
The metabolism starts running out.
Well, not only does the metabolism start moving, in the other direction, but also I've been training in a different way for myself personally for the last 2 years or so, and then trying to compete in that same field. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, okay,
good for you.
I need to. This is just for fun, obviously. I'm not going to go pro at 44 years old. But at the same time, one of the coaches at the workout I was doing was like, pull-ups are really a lot easier when you weigh 20 less pounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And so I started doing this.
Have you lost a lot of weight?
About 15 pounds.
Have you? From intermittent fasting?
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, pull-ups are easier. I have 15 pounds out of my backpack, and I'm able to do a lot more.
Now, did you find that when you were doing paleo and these different sorts of things, that you were losing the same amount of weight?
It was always so short-term that I didn't experience any of the physical benefits that I could note until like maybe 6 weeks of doing it. And then, because my buddy who was like, yeah, I've been doing it. How's it turn out? And I'm like, I think it's just not working for me. I'll do this because of Exodus 90.
Yep.
But then I don't think I'm really experiencing any of this. And then about 6 weeks in, I was like, well, oh, wow. Yeah, now I can see a difference, and I'm feeling a difference, because another piece that they maintain is that you have a little bit more focus and kind of acuity. I also noticed, and this may be more important for people who, well, whatever. As you get older, your testosterone levels go down.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, his name's Rich Froning, won the CrossFit Games 4 times in a row. He's now in must be early to mid-30s. He started intermittent fasting relatively recently, and he said that his blood work was done, and he was at some level, we'll say 400 testosterone level.
Wow.
And just with changing intermittent fasting, it doubled.
Wow.
And he said, I didn't change anything else.
You're going to shave daily.
Right.
Beard
and I've
overnight.
noticed the sense of like, okay, when it comes to muscle growth, that's really helped.
That's amazing.
And like, wow, that's
okay,
really good.
so one of the questions I have, though, is I work out in the morning. A lot of people do. I can't imagine getting up, not eating, and...
Well, so for myself and for Rich, because
he would agree.
He's a little. So yesterday, as an example, I had a little extra time.
Yep.
I did 2 workouts. I had one workout at 6 a.m. and then I wanted to get on the rowing machine at like 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And I did both workouts, fasted, and I didn't eat until like maybe 2 hours after that second workout.
Wow.
And felt completely fine.
Now, on day 1 of the intermittent fasting, or the first week, would have you been like
I
that?
don't
Like, is
think
your
I would
body
have been.
attuned, do you think?
I think probably it's adjusted to it.
So
But-
like now, do you even have cravings?
Yeah, that's
You
why
do?
coffee exists.
Yeah.
Sparkling
I think
water.
a big part for me is the routine.
Yeah.
So the reason I was cutting off all food around 4 p.m. till about 7 a.m. is I love waking up and my routine is there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I usually do black coffee, I'll do some coconut milk, I'll have some some different things
absolutely.
to eat. And yeah, so I think that's probably the hardest thing is giving up the routine.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you on that
Yeah.
as well. I had mentioned earlier, I don't know what the context was, but having breakfast for the first time in however long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah.
Why do I not have this more often?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, the flexibility of being able to say I can miss a day and it's
Yeah.
completely fine. Like
Yeah.
it's not the same thing as a diet. It's more along the lines of that's why I like to use the term protocol. It's just like no, this is the habit I'm in, or this is the protocol.
Because we do live in a very cushy existence.
You know,
let's talk about that.
Oh my gosh. See, that I'm glad you said that because, again, part of that is, again, it could simply be, why are they talking about intermittent fasting for the first however many minutes of this show? And part of it is because we're rarely uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like as far as first world, kind of like, I will go to the most comfortable route almost every single time, unless there's something that's either making me uncomfortable or a decision I'm making that's saying like, no, I can handle discomfort.
And it's amazing how much we whine when something uncomfortable is imposed upon us. Like when we get a cold, we think like, this is totally
This is the
unfair.
worst thing ever. Okay, pause. Since I started, I haven't gotten sick.
Haven't you?
Not once. And that's really, really rare for me because typically in the spring, school starts back up and I get some kind of cold, then to get some kind of bronchial.
Are you going to do this?
I need to.
We should do it together.
Okay, let's
What
do
will our reward be?
We talked about this the whole drive up.
The reward?
Not our reward. No, I'm totally gonna do it.
So,
This is cool.
and my buddy Nick, because he brought it to my attention. He was like, he's like, I haven't gotten sick once. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't
That's
gotten sick
amazing.
either.
Yeah, because you hear these things and you just think this is another bloody fad.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so tired.
And it could
of-
be. I mean, it could just be I got lucky.
But and even if it is, it's having good results.
Yeah. So the discomfort thing.
Yep.
So I watched this documentary. It must have been 2 years ago on a plane. It was called The Rise of the Sufferfest, and it was about the rise of the OCR, or the obstacle course racing.
Yeah.
And they were examining. It was a fun documentary, just like people who go do these races. But one of the things they were asking is, so why do people do these races right now? And there's a number of reasons. They talked about how the popularity coincided with social media, and that idea that on Monday morning you get to post a picture of yourself,
That's right.
like in mud, being electrocuted by whatever, and jumping over fire.
Kicked in the face by a mule.
Exactly, and you look at your cubicle mate and say like, how was your weekend? What did you do?
That's
Like,
right.
You probably were in the garden or maybe like lounged.
Look what
about.
I was doing.
Like, I was suffering, and
Yeah.
that sense of I was doing something dramatic, adventurous, but also that sense of I was tested, and that's a thing that I think we long for. Is that I want to be tested.
Yes.
Can I do this challenge?
Because we live like kings. I
Yeah.
mean, if you compared us to
honestly,
Pharaoh, my gosh. I mean,
he didn't have
he
indoor
looks
plumbing.
like he's slumming it, you know?
I remember going to Madrid for World Youth Day and touring this castle, and it was beautiful. And they showed us this is the royal bedroom, and there's the bedpan, and I thought,
What's that for?
yeah, I'm like, no, the person who was most well off, the person who was most comfortable, was less comfortable than I am on any given day.
Yeah.
And like that is, I don't want to. I wouldn't
Could
want
you
to
ask
trade.
him to keep the air conditioner on so it doesn't keep cutting out?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. And this is the beauty of Exodus 90, working out, and
Yeah.
these sorts of things. Because it is funny. I mean, we do tend to live under this illusion that if I could just live the life I want, then I would be fulfilled. Then I might believe in God. Then my
Right.
relationships would be good. But comparatively speaking, we live very comfortable lives, and
Yeah.
we're not happy, and we're bored, and our relationships aren't necessarily great. And
Well, I think that goes back to the mistake that if I could just be at rest, that the goal of life is to be at rest.
yes,
So the goal of life is to have free time. Like the goal of life is retirement or vacation,
Yeah.
or as opposed to. So a couple weeks ago, I was supposed to work a conference for a weekend, and it just fell through, and so I didn't have any assignment that weekend. Because usually, if I'm not working a conference in the summertime, I ask one of the parishes, "Do you need any help?" and I'll just fill in there, so the other priests can have free time. That didn't happen, so I was like, "Well, I'll just stay in Duluth, and just the same ask for whoever's in town."
Yep.
And it's so funny because on any given Saturday when I'm like wrestling, like I need to write a homily, and like how's this going? I'm just like beating myself up all day. I think like, wouldn't it be great to just have like a normal Saturday, like normal human beings?
Yeah.
And this is actually a weekend,
Yeah.
and then I have a Sunday where you get to like get up whenever and have coffee and
Yeah.
just kind of relax. And I had that weekend, and I thought, well, this is nice. I wouldn't want this to be every weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I like the fight.
It's funny you say that because as a father with 4 small children, I sometimes think to myself, wouldn't it be nice if they would just leave
Yeah.
and I could have a clean house, I could read the books I want to read, have the drink I want to drink at night, call over a friend and just live a calmer existence. And it's sort of similar, like if they
Yeah.
go away, the first day is actually really nice.
Yeah.
I really like it. I like the break, I like being able to do what I want to do. But day 2 or 3 comes, I'm like, I would hate to live like this.
Yeah. Well, in that sense of like, then it exposes to me the reality, which is, okay, my goal is not to be at rest. My goal is not
Yeah.
to simply be on vacation. My goal is not to, I don't want to live there.
Yeah.
And then I can actually, hopefully, embrace and appreciate the fact that, like, no, I've been given a task
Yeah,
to
and
do.
especially if the church is right, and this is a vale of tears,
Yeah.
there will be a resting point,
Yeah.
but it is not in the vale of tears. So to kind of set up your lazy boy recliner and turn on Netflix and try to enjoy the vale of tears as if it's heaven, it won't work.
Yeah, I think that there's a
Now let-
piece of like, give me a battle to fight or give me some kind of work to do, and I think that's really good.
Yo, thanks for watching. You can watch the entire episode on YouTube if you want. You can listen to it at The Matt Fradd Show by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And feel free to support me, patreon.com/Matt Fradd.